have to strive just to stay alive. That simple means say nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can hold me sick. I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness. Show me a man. Strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Strength. No weakness. Show me a man. Everybody strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Not when you're old. Your enemies, they must tremble. Your enemies, they must tremble. Yo, not when you're old. Everything has to humble. Everything has to humble. I'm a go-getter. I just go hard. I just go hard. And I'm a kind of fella. Put my trust in God. Put my trust in God. That simple means say nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can hold me sick. I will not die.
Are you fed up of your mask or your foggy face shield? Introducing the Fashion Shield from CallAllProNow.com. Keep your hairdo intact, your makeup flawless, and be fully protected. Get the Fashion Shield now. Call 516-387-4246 or visit CallAllProNow.com.
Ride along, welcome to the ride, welcome to Thursday on the Ride. Yes, Thursday on the Ride. As you're coming, guys, go ahead and share up the thing. We got some late breaking news for you and some very important information we got to share with you right now. So as you're coming, go ahead and share the thing. We want to also reach out to our family and friends in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We just heard some breaking news from there. I'm trying to compile everything and put it out right before we bring on our guests. So go ahead and share up the program, guys. Share up the program right now. It's Ride Along Live for today, Thursday. Start a watch party. Start a watch party. Share it on a page. Share it on a group. Very important. I'm doing the same thing as well. Group. See, it's hard work. This thing is no joke, man. This is hard work. Not for the faint of heart, by the way. Right. All right, here we go. All right, so let me see who we have already on the check-in. Patricia, how you doing? Welcome to the ride. Hope you're doing fine, Patricia. Thank you so much for joining us early, Patricia. We appreciate you so much. Who else on the ride? Charlotte Charles, thank you so much for locking it down early as well. Rose Ship, thank you so much. Celine. Chopper John West, how you doing? Shalom. Hey, Spice Chick, Jab Princess, thank you so much for locking it down. Guys, right before we came on, I just got this news that came to the wire. I'm talking about like immediately, right before I came on. It has to do with the evacuation alert for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All right, it goes a little something like this. They said that evacuation order is given as condition at La Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines deteriorate further. St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves had issued an evacuation order effective immediately as the levels has been elevated to red. Right, that is a serious situation right now. The people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines not only have to contend with the coronavirus, but as you guys been following for the past couple weeks and months or so, an erupting volcano at La Soufrière. Again, guys, the evacuation order has been given, and as condition at the La Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it continues to deteriorate. We posted some videos earlier today on the ride, and it is very, very serious because there are some people, a lot of people that resides in that area right there, that immediate vicinity right there, and they have to evacuate effective immediately. Also, more information, St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves have issued an evacuation order effective immediately as the levels is now upgraded to red. Serious stuff. And for my friends and family over there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we want to hear from you as well, because we're going to be following what's happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and what St. Vincent and the Grenadines in particular. But you also have to remember that Grenada is right close there. What's going to happen to the people in these immediate areas, and how bad, nobody really knows the answer. So that's why we're going to continue to follow it right here, guys. If you have any additional information as we go through the program here today, please send it to us so we could send out the information to our general viewing population. All right, I know we have a bunch of Vincentian friends who follow the program. Guys, if you following and you heard anything, you hearing anything throughout the duration of the program, we encourage you to forward it into us, and we'll get the information out there again. Once again, guys, the evacuation order has been ordered at La Sofia volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The condition continue to deteriorate. St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez have issued this evacuation order effective immediately, as the alert level is now elevated to red. All right. If you're seeing and hearing what we're seeing here, what we're reporting, and you have any footage, any content or whatever you would like to share, you can always email us at ridealongtv@gmail.com, or inbox us right here on the ride. Again, for the people in that immediate area there, right, would have to evacuate effective immediately. All right, and I'm sure they will have to fly over areas where aircraft cannot fly within a certain proximity, because it's just not just the eruption. Talking about the sulfur in the air, a lot of different things that could be happening within probably in the next couple of hours, and we're going to continue to monitor it throughout the duration of the program here tonight. Thank you guys again for watching today's program. We have a very interesting conversation with attorney Anslem Clouden. All right, Anslem Clouden is a very outspoken a lawyer in Grenada. Everyone know Anslem Clouden, and we have him here. He's right there. In fact, he's right there, and he's ready to chat with us. He's getting ready. There have been a lot of developments in Grenada within the past 24 to 48 hours as it relates to one, the 4% negotiation, or not no longer negotiation. It's protest, and the teachers are it's industrial action, right? That's where it's headed. That's where it is. And of course, we're talking about the vaccine and the kind of slow kind of rollout of the vaccine in Grenada, and what they're trying to do to increase the amount of vaccination in Grenada. Anslem Clouden has a kind of little different take on what should be done on all of this. So we're going to talk to him, and again, a very interesting point of view from Mr. Anslem Clouden. Let me see if we can bring in Anslem Clouden right now to first, before we start talking about the vaccine and vaccination. Anslem, are you following the situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as it relates to the volcano?
Every minute on the minute, because Carriacou is in close proximity.
Yes.
You know, I'm from Carriacou, so I'm following it as much as you are, and even more.
Yes. Anselm, are you hearing anything from the people in that close proximity, and if they were to evacuate, where would they actually be displaced to?
Well, I don't quite know how you can have a rapid deployment unit and the facility to take folks from St. Vincent itself to the closest island, was Beckwith.
Yes.
That would have called for all kinds of preparatory work. But we have been warned here in the Caribbean on the possible advent of tsunamis. The signs telling you how to move up to highlands and the like. But I don't know. I mean, it's an emergency. It has come without prior notice, and I think Comrade Ralph has handled it very well, with great distinction and honor in declaring a state of emergency, and ultimately you may find in a certain area, just as happened in Montserrat, in a certain area, the necessity to evacuate may be quite imminent.
Yes, yes, yes. And what about the neighboring islands? I heard someone circulated some information. I don't know how credible this information is at this point, but there are talks that neighboring islands like Grenada and St. Lucia and other islands are gearing up to welcome some of the citizens from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, pending that they are some side of vaccinated. Or did you hear anything to that extent?
No, I haven't heard anything of the sort because this incident and this emergency has emerged within the past 10 to 12 hours. So I haven't heard anything of the sort, save and except hearing that the eruption has been somewhat massive and that the Honorable and Distinguished Prime Minister, Dr. Gonzalez, has taken the necessary steps to ensure the safety of life and limb. And if evacuation is part of it, then so be it. But I haven't heard of that movement and willingness. But within the OECS, if there is an emergency in St. Vincent that warrants the movement of people from St. Vincent to the Lower Grenadines, St. Lucia, where have you, we would cooperate. That's how we live here. We are our brothers' keepers. So, when there is such a catastrophe, we would naturally support our fellow citizens, and that's how we are.
Yeah, I just got some information that just came to the wire as well. It came from NAGMA, and I'm trying to ingest this content so I could play it back to you. Let me see, probably I could play it back from my phone. This information I didn't go through the content as yet, so I'm playing it cold. This information just came to us from NAGMA.
This is Dr. Urosula Joseph, Director of the UE Seismic Research Center. With respect to the implications for neighboring islands such as Barbados, Grenada, and St. Lucia of the impacts of an eruption at the La Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent, this is dependent on the size of the eruption, the amount of ash that may be emitted, but primarily the impact would be on aviation travel in the region as ash negatively impacts engines of aircrafts. In terms of the possibility of ashfall on these islands, this is not going to be significant, but is also dependent on wind direction and the size of the eruption.
Again, guys, we're getting this information cold turkey, and as we get it from NAGMA, we're playing it back to you. This is a part 2 of the information just sent to us by NAGMA.
This is Dr. Urosula Joseph, Director of the...
Okay, that's the same information again, guys. So again, we want to update our viewing audience of the evacuation alert for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They have been given that condition has deteriorated to the point where the Prime Minister elevated to a red. St. Vincent Prime Minister just said recently that the evacuation order effective immediately. So the people in the neighboring areas and possibly, I don't know how far the evacuation would extend to, but the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we definitely have to be concerned for their safety at this point in time. I've seen people taking videos and taking photos and going up there and want to experience it. This is not the opportunity for you to get a viral video, guys. As this evacuation order is in effect, we expect that everyone obey the evacuation order and go furthest away as possible. I'm sure that the government would have issued the area, the cordon off area where people should go behind borderlines or whatever the case might be. And that's what we have for you here as it relates to the evacuation order in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Feel free, Anslem, if at any point you get any information on your end, feel free to give us in here because we want to keep it updated. We have a lot of family and friends in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that locked on, and we want to keep them updated in case they're just watching this program or on Ridealong platform.
Certainly not. Anything I receive, I would pass it on instantaneously.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's talk a bit, Mr. Clouden, because you made headlines. Well, in fact, you're always making headlines, by the way, right? But you recently made headlines on a media platform in Grenada, and this was a clip. I want to play the clip, and then we'll talk about it on the other end. This was the news clip from MTV Grenada.
Over 7,000 people in Grenada have already been vaccinated with the AstraZeneca vaccine. But attorney at law Anslem Clouden says there needs to be more options available to the Grenadian public, and he is calling on the government to cease further rollouts of the vaccines. Despite statements from health officials, Clouden says most people have lost confidence in the AstraZeneca vaccines based on what is happening in other countries.
In the circumstances, I am asking this government to be cautious, follow the example of Italy, France, Spain, Netherlands, suspend the use until such time as the global scientific community has okayed its use. The risk outweighs the benefit.
In his opinion, based on evidence shown in some international nations, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine appears to be one of the safest.
It is my respectful view that the government ought to look elsewhere to procure other vaccines that are deemed safe for consumption. I would suggest Johnson & Johnson. It's a one-shot vaccine.
Additionally, Clouden made mention of the Minister for Health statements that if it is up to him, the vaccine would be mandatory for frontline workers and other essential workers. This, Clouden said, is unconstitutional.
Now, I understand from Minister Steele's address last evening that he intends to mandate the taking of vaccines for essential workers and other public workers, frontline persons, and hotel staff. Therefore, it is my considered view that Minister Steele and the government has no authority whatsoever to violate the Constitution and mandate that someone take a vaccine that they decided that they would not expose themselves to.
Reporting for MTV News, I am Donala Hostin.
All right, that was a news clip from MTV. Now, after that news, it's been about a couple of weeks, just a couple of days or so after that news broke. Now, following that news, AstraZeneca, the countries in Europe, they started to initiate the process of vaccination again. They took back their word, right, on what was said initially. Do you retract or wish to retract any of the statements made initially in that report?
No, not at all. No, not at all. The situation has grown worse. Only this morning on BBC, I heard that it is unsafe to inoculate persons from 30 years onwards, going back 30 to 18, 17, whatever, because children are not prone to the ravages of the virus. But only this morning, and a number of countries have since suspended its use.
But they suspended, but
the theology
is back again.
Sorry,
they reinitiated the process of vaccination after they proved that the vaccine AstraZeneca was safe and effective.
So they claim there is no compelling evidence now, because only last night the European Union, there was a debate as to whether they would recommend its continued use. And remember, the conditions of that vaccine. I mean, it's not yet authorized by the CDC in the United States of America. You know that, of course, don't you?
Yes, yes, I know that the AstraZeneca has not been
So,
approved.
but there are good reasons for that. America is a leading country in the world. That's why I suggested Johnson and Johnson, the safest country for these type of productions and the like. And we all know Johnson and Johnson since we were kids. Johnson and Johnson provided us all the aromatic powders and the like. So look, let's stick with what we have. Let's stick with what we produce in this part of the world. And this AstraZeneca is open to such criticism that the world has lost confidence in the scientific community's pronouncement of AstraZeneca.
Let me, let me ask you this question. As reported, right, there were over 500,000 people in the US that died from COVID, right? Died. That is the final and the worst side effect that you could get from anything at all. They died.
Just because you had a president then who didn't give a damn about the virus. All he was concerned about was whether you take bleach or you take something and you drink it. And a number of people died as a consequence. And very little emphasis was placed on getting a program and a plan in place to protect the
Yeah.
health of the American people.
Yeah, but what my point?
I mean, you know, my family and everybody, you know, we all Americans, man. And look, it's disgraceful where a lot of this if you follow Dr. Fushi, a lot of the deaths were avoidable. That's a fact. If people would continue to abide by the mask, sanitization, and the alcohol,
Right.
the distancing and the like. My brother and myself went to Carol quite recently for Easter, and he came up with a marvelous idea
Uh-huh.
in repelling why we are not so susceptible to contracting the virus here. He says, Slim, they tell us to wash our hands with a limited 70% alcohol. He said, when you drink Jackai, that's 100% proof. So how the virus will survive in your body.
Yeah.
I thought that was a marvelous new way.
Yeah.
I rather enjoyed it.
The point I was
You
getting
know,
at, the point I was getting at,
it
right?
was good levity on Easter weekend, you know,
Yeah.
and chatting because we are all concerned about this epidemic.
Right.
And what is most alarming, I saw a program put on by CNN recently where a number of the scientists, including Dr. Fushi and a number of the other eminent epidemiologists in the United States, and the former director of the CDC under Trump said that he felt, and it was his view, although he said there was no consensus on it, that this virus was man-made and escaped from a laboratory.
Yeah. Okay. I want to.
I heard it with my own ears.
I want to get into that. But here's what I want to come back a little bit, because we're talking about side effects and we're talking about effectiveness, efficacy of the vaccine. Right. We've seen over 500,000 people dead in the U.S. and over in some cases 3 and 4 million people per day taking this vaccine in the U.S. here alone. Right. And there have been minor, and if they have been reported incident, is less than 1% of deaths. And I haven't heard of any deaths due to the vaccine. Right, I'm due for correction. So if the ultimate side effect is death from the COVID-19, and you have minimal side effect from the vaccine, wouldn't it be more? Well, I mean, taking the chances here. Would you prefer to get the vaccine or get COVID and dead?
My brother, with the utmost respect to you,
Uh-huh.
I like to call that in my profession and my practice, that's Buck Rogers reasoning.
Okay,
Right?
let's talk about it.
I mean, and I don't want to go into a polemic, you know, exaggerated explanation of the vaccine thing. The vaccine, the only benefit from the vaccine, and I read just recently, people who have had the full complement of the vaccine,
Right.
they have also contracted the virus still. There's serious variants that are far more infectious and far more deadly.
Yeah, but in
And
what
it's in the United States now.
in what
And the vaccine,
quantity?
there's no certainty that the immunity offered would be so potent against the new variants. I mean, we in a real calamity. It's like Armageddon. Don't you see
Right.
it? I mean,
No, I
there's
see it.
no cure.
I mean, listen, I had this whole thing myself,
So
and I understand it. But what I'm trying to understand is
Armageddon, man.
mitigating and on and advising on the vaccine or not taking the vaccine, right? I look at the evidence. I look at the people who are in the trenches and are working on this vaccine, and from what I've heard, I'm hearing that from them they are saying that it's safe and effective. So I want to I prefer to listen to the people who are coming at who are actually on the grind and know these things than to listen to anybody else who don't even know about who never been into a lab.
No, but there's a great scientific debate. There's no general consensus and acceptance globally, even within the WHO,
Right.
as to the level of immunity offered by these vaccines. Some say 60 some percent, some say it's 95%, what have you. What is important is that it minimizes the extent of the suffering, and you are not likely to go into the intensive care unit and die as a consequence. So that's a great advance. But it doesn't stop you from transmitting, it doesn't stop you from getting sick. But I think we should all take it. It's just what you take. Don't take Sputnik and all these goddamn things you hear all over the
But
place.
hold on, but what
And you think,
evidence?
you think
Okay,
I,
let's talk about in your profession. In your profession, and I know you know those terminologies very well. You're a lawyer. What
yes.
evidence do you have to say that Sputnik or AstraZeneca or Johnson and Johnson or one is better than the next? What evidence do you have to say that Sputnik is not a
No,
great vaccine?
I have no empirical evidence.
Right. So what
The
factual point do you
vaccine
use to
climate
confirm?
has created, listen to me carefully, the vaccine climate has created a crisis of confidence,
Right.
because you're hearing this from this one, you're hearing that from that one. So I've lost confidence in the
Right.
efficacy and sometimes the truth of what is said. So you know what I say? Let me tell you what I recommend
Mm-hmm.
for myself, for my family, for my nation, especially in Ghana and pretty Martinique, where we have no cases and never had any serious cases from there. Thank God for that. But let me tell you
Mm-hmm.
what I recommend. Wear your face mask at all times. Sanitize yourself at every opportunity and keep a social distance. Don't congregate in large crowds, and we'll be safe.
No,
And we'll bring
no,
this
no.
thing under control.
I bear a
These
different.
vaccines and things, God knows what happens.
I share a
So here's
different
the
opinion.
talking here.
I share a
Huh?
different opinion with you, Mr. Clouden.
Well, I beg to differ
Let me share. Let me just share a quick experience with you. I probably was one of the safest person. And I see your question, Calista Faria. We're going to talk about the constitutional, what the constitution say as it regards to mandatory vaccination. But
yes.
the I am probably one of the safest person. Has been one of the safest person as it relates to vaccination, right? Not sorry, not vaccination for hand sanitizing and wearing your mask. Nobody wear more mask than me. I don't go into a place. I don't
Yes.
congregate. I wear mask. I wear two masks, right?
Mm.
But I still end up getting the COVID. I did all of that stuff. Wash my hands.
God
Everything
knows
like
how. God knows how. You don't know yourself.
I know.
And no one knows.
No, I know who I caught it.
I
I
think
know who
it's
I
in the
caught it.
air.
Yeah,
How you
well,
got it? Tell me.
my daughter, she went out to school and she came back and she's in the house. When you're in the house, you don't wear your mask. You let your guards down. So that's why.
Naturally, so she got it.
So she got it in school.
Oh, but she didn't have a terrible sojourn with it. I mean, I'm told that it doesn't affect kids as severely as it does adults and people at my
But
age, where it just kills them.
they transfer it. But what I'm saying is you could do all of that stuff, but still catch it. I believe,
I
and
would think so. I don't know, depending on who you come in contact with. But that is not the issue. So vaccine. Well, take a vaccine that is safe, not a vaccine that would give you side effects and doesn't offer the level of immunity that is as anticipated from vaccines. I remember as a boy, you couldn't travel unless you had a vaccination thing in your passport, and you had to go and choke something on your arm and it make a little sore and all this stuff. There are times when we had to be vaccinated. I have no difficulty with that.
Yeah.
I'm not opposing vaccination. What I'm opposing is the scam with they saying that this is good, that is good, and then it has certain side effects, and they said benefit outweigh the risk.
But
Absolute nonsense.
but
Buck Rogers reasoning
there are side effects, and there will be side effect for everything. I don't want to.
from every vaccine.
I don't want to
From
beat
every vaccine.
that whole piece down the road forever. But what I'm saying is that there are side effects, right? And I am one.
Yes.
I'm continue to say this, that I don't believe. I believe that everyone should have the opportunity to decide for themselves. It's not like you can't tell someone that they have to put something in their body that they don't want to put in their body. I'm never going to be in support of that.
Well, let's go to the Constitution of Grenada. That's
Right,
where I
so
want to explain it to you.
so that's what we're gonna talk about that. But here's what I'm
Let me say that I don't wish to interrupt you, but you know who is my hero, my real hero in Brooklyn? I'm a New Yorker myself. You see Chris Cuomo
Yeah,
and his brother Andrew, they
yeah,
took New York out of a mess, man. And I think all Americans should be quite grateful and appreciative of
right.
how they steered New York away from one of the worst pandemics that hit that city in the world. I'm
Yeah.
a New Yorker myself, man.
Oh,
I
okay.
went to school there.
Welcome home.
Yeah, man, I
Welcome
went to
home.
LIU, man. I'm
Welcome
a
home.
whole LIU boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So Claudine, before we go on
yeah.
to the next topic, I just want to make it clear that I think that the statement should be made was that listen to the scientists, listen to the science, because in all due respect, you're not a scientist, and I'm not a scientist either, right?
Yeah, but I agree with you that we must follow the science where it takes us. That's why I agree with Dr. Fushi and all these guys. But and this is why I keep saying, and you know, look, if we follow the protocol, we would have no difficulty. And half of us wouldn't have to be vaccinated. The herd immunity would keep the viral load low, and we'd be happy. They have all kind of
Well,
viruses,
how will you
but
get?
what is to come is worse than what we have now. You know,
What is your
Bill Gates
concept
and them
for?
boys say something coming that's worse than what we have now. And before President Obama, God bless that president, before President Obama left office, he left a plan for President Trump to follow
Right.
because he advised him that the virus is on its way because these guys knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's neither here nor there, right? That's neither here nor there. But I just
Stuff, you know.
what is
Causing from Cold War, international political balance of terror.
yeah. Okay.
That's why
Um.
Reagan and Gorbachev, you remember President Reagan stated, pull down that wall. Gorbachev.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he
I,
emerged from a balance of terror situation to a free world, and Trump and them want to mess it up. And them Chinese come with this big damn thing, this virus all over. I
yeah.
don't know.
But you see, here's where I'm confuffled, right? Here's where I'm really confuffled, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I want us to look at it. When the virus hit, everybody was clamoring for some kind of cure. We want to get over COVID. We want to find a best way to get past this virus, right? They went through clinical trials, and clinical trials is not like someone just get up and say, okay, this is exists. It goes through 3-step clinical trials, right? It goes through a process, and the same people that approve your Tylenol and Advil and all these other drugs are the same people who approve the vaccine. And we take Tylenol.
But
We
thank
take
God they hadn't approved. Thank God they hadn't approved this AstraZeneca.
what
Because
is
a lot of Americans would have been
30
dying
million
from blood
people,
clots.
30 million people in the UK and other places in England
Yeah,
and other places take AstraZeneca. And there
yeah.
are
Well,
36
that's it.
cases of
But
people. There are 36 reported cases of people who had not even severe after effect after taking the AstraZeneca vaccine. So to
But let me
use
tell you,
6 out of 30 is
I don't
very,
want to interrupt you, but let me tell you something. We're on
yeah,
the same platform,
right,
We cater for the same thing. The only thing is we have different approaches.
right.
Because you would want everybody to be vaccinated ultimately.
No, I would want everyone
You
to
would
make
want to have a herd immunity where we return to normal or the new normal. You would want us to continue to die. 500 and something Americans died as a result of absolute neglect, lack of leadership. Look at President Biden, how he's carrying the nation forward, man, and how people are getting vaccinated, and how things are moving. And he's calling for well, he has already gotten it past the relief package and everything, man. Bring America back. Bring
yeah,
America back to the world. Bring America back on track. You
yeah.
know, come on, man.
Listen,
So
listen,
let's
listen.
I'm on the vaccine thing, but I'm not going along blindly. And I'm one of the first guys here in Grenada that called for a total lockdown of the country. And if Mitchell had done that,
Right.
and not go into these secret deals with sandals and the like where people come in and the protocol wasn't properly observed, we would not have had this type of spike and it would have redounded to the economy in a more positive sense.
Okay, well, that's your point of view. Calistro Faria asked a very very important question, and I want to pose a question. Um, in fact, let me pose the question now. Calistro is asking about let me go back to her question. Go back to her question. You know that yesterday there was this press release from the from the tourism, and they made mention of frontline workers, the folks in hotel, specifically in the hotel industry, mandatory vaccination. Tell us about the legality of that move.
Look, well, let me tell you something. That is unconstitutional because you see, um, we have a constitution that maintains certain basic international human rights norms. Okay, and it's pretty much international. Um, Canada, as a Commonwealth country, too, Grenada similarly, have passed certain laws that is protected the human rights of the citizen. And one such human right here is privacy. Your right to privacy, privacy of your body. I remember distinguished Canadian Prime Minister, the late Pierre Elliott Trudeau, saying that government has no business in the bedroom of the nation. All that to amplify the importance of individual rights. And no country, no legislature can just trample it. People fought for it since 1251 with Magna Carta.
Right.
So that, hey, man, you know, come on. We're not going to sit by and let things just happen.
Right.
You on?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm here. I'm here. No, I'm here. I'm here. So is it
Good, man.
constitutional? Is it constitutional as it stands right now?
Unconstitutional.
Do they need to
You
pass it?
cannot do that. Yeah, it's discriminatory. Section 13 of the Constitution. You can't discriminate. We have a medical emergency. They have passed certain laws to deal with the emergency as authorized by the Constitution. Now, we have challenged certain aspect of those laws when a former Attorney General passed some draconian measures. I don't know where he lifted it from, either Venezuela or some such country. And we oppose it. And we got the government to withdraw it. Um, and what I'm saying is there are certain rights and the Constitution, the supreme law of the state, um, has certain protective mechanisms to enhance the enjoyment of certain civil liberties of the right to conscience, the right to religion, the right to free speech, the right of assembly. So those basic human rights. So the right to privacy, the right to property, those are basic human rights. And they can just impose a thing and say you have to vaccinate. That's nonsense. No court of law would maintain it. even in the great United States, the country, the greatest country on the planet, on the face of this earth, they would not countenance it, and the founding fathers never did.
Yeah, Cassandra was saying that policies are not law. Is that just a policy item? Is just a talking point, or well, we clearly know that it goes against the constitutional right of an individual. So, is there any way that it could happen? Is there anything that they could do? Any adjustment? Any amendment? Anything that could be done at this point from the government end? Because they said it, they already pulled the cat out of the bag. I mean, everyone is talking about it. Why would they say something that they definitely know that they cannot implement?
Yeah, my brother, let me tell you, the first thing this administration should do is pay the teachers the 4% they owe them, and then they could begin to talk to the Grenadian public about such matters as you just raised. They have no moral compass. They have no legal foundation to go pronouncing that they would mandate vaccination, and certain people saying if you don't vaccine, you can't get a job. That is discriminatory.
Yeah.
Unless because you can have the vaccine and you still contract the virus and you still spread it.
Yeah.
So what's the purpose? Come on, man.
Let's take a call. Let's take a call right here real quick, guys. Ridealong live. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from?
From Toronto.
Right, Toronto.
So, Junior, I just wanted to say this, is that I just wanted to clear up something you said, that the vaccine has gone through 3 phases of clinical trial. That is not correct. The vaccine is still currently in phase 3 of the clinical trial.
It's not in phase 3. It's not in phase 3. It's not in phase 3.
Yes. It is in the, I'm telling you, and if you listen to all virologists, that it is in the clinical stage 3.
Mm-hmm.
And what is phase 3,
Phase 3, yeah.
What that phase 3 does is it assesses the long-term effects of the vaccine. And so usually a phase 3 will be done within about 2 to 3 years, so that you can follow people who've had the vaccine and you're going to be able to assess whether or not there are any long-term effects. In this particular case, we are in the phase 3 because we're not able to determine what the long-term effects are, if there are any. I'm not saying that the vaccine may not be safe, but I'm just wanted to say right now that we are still in a phase 3. And I find it very hard for any government to mandate something that we cannot prove without the reasonable doubt that is safe. We cannot say the vaccine is safe. And safety is not just within a month or 15 minutes after you got the vaccine. You also have to think about what's going to happen to people in a year from now,
right,
2 years from now. So having it mandatory when it's still even it's only approved by the FDA as an emergency.
Emergency use authorization.
You can do that because it's not finished. It has not finished a complete clinical trial. So how could you mandate something when the FDA itself has not fully approved it? And if you look at if you get vaccinated in Canada, you get a consent form that you sign, and it explains to you that the vaccine is, it has not been approved. It's only approved for emergency, and you sign off on that.
Yes.
And there's also no liability for the big pharma, for the companies.
There are no liability. Whether the vaccine passed the clinical trial or way past the clinical trial, you still can sue big pharma for taking vaccine, whether now or later.
Vaccines, exactly. And so because you don't have that, right, to tell someone that I cannot, it's just like, I always think about it as a food. As you go into a food establishment. You go into a food establishment, the establishment is supposed to have certain conditions that they meet so that they can sell food to the public.
Right.
They're supposed to have an insurance that if anything happens to you while you consume their food, you at least could get some kind of, or you or your family, God forbid that you pass, will be able to get some kind of compensation or whatever from that. That's a normal thing that we do in every other establishment.
No, but it doesn't.
You can't do that with vaccine.
Not only vaccine. and let me make my point very clear. I'm not in support of mandatory vaccination. I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm totally against mandatory vaccination, because I believe people are not don't want to take the vaccine because they just don't want to take the vaccine. I think that there have not yet been enough education that was given out to the people to understand the vaccine, right? And people are reluctant to take the vaccine because of their own personal whatever they might have a pre-existing condition, personal religious reasons. So I am not for the mandatory mandating a vaccine at all. I want to make that abundantly clear. But what I'm saying is, I listen to the WHO, I listen to folks at PAHO, I listen to those folks who make these decisions, who made the decision to put a Fenzik or Advil on the table that you pick up and you give to your child. These people are the same people who went through the process, 37-0, or how much of them had to approve this. The same set of people who did the same thing to approve the Tylenol that sits in your kitchen, or in your bedroom right now, is the same set of people who approve this.
So I don't want to take over your show, but I would also let you know that because these regulatory bodies, and especially Big Pharma and the WHO and all of these organizations are tied up with Big Pharma, we can't just trust them blindly and say because they say that it's okay, then it's okay. Because we've had drugs that have been pulled off the market that they FDA approved, WHO says it's okay, and we find out 2 years later that it's causing deformity in third world countries. Right. Or it's causing cancer in people. But they said originally it was safe. So I'm saying is we need to also do our own research. Yes. We need to also listen to other people, other specialists that may say there are some conditions where the vaccine is important. And I understand that we need vaccines for a lot of illness, disease, and virus that we have out there. And it's important that we get vaccinated for some things. But if you're getting vaccinated and it could eradicate that disease, and it prevents you from transmission, then that makes sense. Right. But if you're getting vaccine and it doesn't prevent transmission, it doesn't prevent you from getting the virus, it doesn't even have a long haul. They don't even know how long it's going to last. So they're saying immunity might last now for 6 months. All of these things, there's no guarantee. Because again, the reason why they cannot say any of these things is because they do not know just yet what's going to happen, because the vaccine has not been out long enough, right, so that we can say. So I applaud anyone who wants to go and take the vaccine right now because they're doing a public good. They're thinking, well, you know what, I want to do my part. There's nothing wrong with that. But those people who don't want to do it, there should be understanding that we should not, and as you said, we should not force anyone to do something that is still in a trial and that people have reservations about, and rightfully so, they should have reservations.
All right, thank you, Carl. I appreciate you. Mr. Clouden, I know you had a mouthful. Well, the caller had a mouthful to say, and I know you want to chime.
I think I concur with everything she has said. And you know, the good thing, she's Canadian like myself, and we come with a well different slant to things. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, these things, and most importantly, the right of the individual, which was enshrined in the Canadian Charter of Rights. See? Yeah. And that's where I did all my law and everything. So I concur with her wholeheartedly, and that's clinical thinking. Yeah. This vaccine thing, and nobody could mandate you to do something that you don't want to do. They could penalize you in the context of you can't travel or you can't go here. Depends. But they cannot mandate you. And when you go to a doctor, you have to sign a consent form before he touches your body. There are all kinds of conditions. So we shan't explore it. It's a constitutional issue. Would have to be determined by a court of law.
All right, let's take another call here on the WhatsApp. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from?
Yeah, hello. I'm calling from Grenada.
Go right ahead, caller.
Right. I have some concerns about the vaccine. Right.
Right.
Not only the information that is given out by people in Grenada who I clearly believe are not or should not be the ones presenting it. You have stated earlier that this should be a debate or a presentation that is given by scientists, which I totally agree with.
Right.
Now, some of my concerns are as follows. For instance, just the other evening, I witnessed over local media the bishop of the Catholic Church. He actually said that he recently took the vaccine, and in the news report, it was said that the bishop experienced some side effects. Now, in that same news report, which should have been used to ties the entire nation, the side effects were not mentioned. So we do not know exactly what side effects there have been. He said that it lasted for 2 days,
Yes.
but there was no mention whether those side effects needed to be medically treated. Right? Obviously, people.
Hold on, fellas. Stick up in there. Stick up in there. There are side effects, and knowing from personally, I had friends who took the vaccine, and the second dose they did have side effects. The side effect ranged from headaches to chills. Some people had fever, bone pain in the bones, and headache. Right? Those are some of the side effects that I know people have gotten. I took 2 doses. Right? I mean, I'm different because I was ready to go take a clinical trial in stage 1. That's how eager I was, just for humanitarian purposes. I was willing to do that. But they do have side effects, and the side effects is made known to you when you walk in there to take the vaccine. But go right ahead.
Right. No, so the thing is, Junior, different persons have different metabolic rates and so forth. I'm not a medical doctor, but what might just put you down for 2 days, it might actually end the life of somebody. The fact that the fail safe has been advertised and approved, where persons are saying that we cannot sue the pharmaceutical company and so forth if the vaccine causes death. I find that, very, very extraordinary. It's something that should be unacceptable.
Yeah, but this is something that is known for all vaccines, not only these vaccines. You can't sue the pharmaceutical companies, and that's how it's been. That's not because of COVID, AstraZeneca, and these that is how it is.
Yeah, you see, because that is how it was, and that is how it is. That doesn't make it okay.
No, I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm just saying that it's not just because that with the COVID vaccine they say, okay, you can't sue the big pharma because if you got sick. That's how it's been for every vaccine and medication.
Okay, so I am very concerned by that.
Right.
The next point I'd like to make, Junior, is the fact that based on the persons in Grenada that I know that have been vaccinated, the only time monitored, and this is what I was told by persons who actually took the vaccine at certain medical stations here in Grenada, right?
Right.
They were only monitored for like the first 30 minutes.
Right.
And after they left, they were not contacted after that to find out if they're dead or alive or anything like that.
Okay, stick up in there again. I want to dissecting everything you're saying because I understand it, and this is the same thing that happens here as well. They monitor you for 15 to 30 minutes before you leave the establishment to see if you have any immediate side effect of the virus. So it's not something that is happening isolated only in Grenada. When you take the vaccine, you sit there for 15, 20 minutes. Here in the UK, in Canada, that's how it is. All right? And then they don't contact you and find out how you're doing. But if you're sick and you go to the hospital and you have some complaints, then of course they would record it. I'm sure they would record it, but they don't call everybody who take the vaccine to find out how they're doing. It doesn't happen over here either. But go ahead.
But Junior, don't you think that is a bit reckless? To me, this is still in the phase of it being as an experimental drug. That is my opinion. It hasn't been here since 1960 or 1970, as some persons would say that vaccinations have been made mandatory since such time. This is something that actually came out just a few months ago. And I believe that it should be closely monitored to gain the confidence of people like myself. Based on research that I have personally done as well, I understand that some of the side effects are blood clots. And as we know, blood clots have already ended the lives of persons. And I do agree with Mr. Clouden
how much? Again, I'm not an advocate. I don't want to sound like I'm an advocate for vaccine, because I'm really not.
Yeah.
I'm for people making the decision. They go, they speak to their doctor, the same doctor that advised them to take this medication or take that medication. If you speak to your doctor, your medical practitioner, the person that you trust for years, and they advise you that it's safe and effective to do so, you make that decision for yourself. So I'm not a big vaccine gonna tell everybody they need to go out and take the vaccine. That's not what I'm saying. All right. I want to make it abundantly clear. Everyone should make their own decision on what they put inside of their body.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And one of the reasons why people are hesitant, you may remember, Mr. Clouden may remember, there was a time when black people were injected with syphilis as an experiment.
Yeah, the Tuskegee experiment. We know about the Tuskegee experiment.
Right. It was spoken about by the former president of America, Mr. Clinton.
Mr. Clinton, yes.
And so forth, and Obama and so forth. So to make this thing mandatory, although we understand it is going to be unconstitutional, Cassandra mentioned earlier that policies are not laws. And we do know that. And the fact is, I'm going to ask Mr. Clouden, is Mr. Clouden prepared? Is the Bar Association prepared that if the government sees fit to sit in Parliament and pass a law to make it mandatory that everyone takes this vaccine, are they prepared to actually fight against this?
Let me get this part. Let me tell you. Go ahead, Mr. Clouden.
Would you permit me to respond?
Yeah.
I cannot speak on behalf of the bar. I'm not the president of the bar. I'm a senior past president of the bar. What I can say is this, that the former Attorney General, Mr. Cadgenton Hood, Mr. Derek Sylvester, Mr. Francis Paul, there are a few of us that are like guardians of the state to ensure that at least if we can view and discuss and as it were, study legislation before it gets to Parliament, and where the legislation is draconian, as we did during COVID, when they were trying to surreptitiously enter your house without warrant to apprehend you if someone reported that you were infected with COVID. That was the most callous and draconian, unconstitutional piece of law that any attorney general worth his salt promulgate. So we stood up. Group of lawyers stood up, and the government knew that if they had only attempted to introduce it, there would have been revulsion and appeals and all kinds of things to stop it from going into effect. They were prudent enough to withdraw it, and it never surfaced. So anything that would in any way, as it were, encroach or abrogate or infringe on the protected constitutional rights of the citizenry, we would not allow a government or an attorney general or whoever to pass laws that are inimical and in breach of the constitutional protective rights of the citizen.
Right. So in a nutshell, Mr. Cloud, now you're saying that the bar association is ready, willing, and able to stand up if they were to
Yes,
pass this. Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
So let me just
yes.
okay, Earl. So yes. All right, Earl. Thank you so much, Earl. Let me take another call that's coming in. We appreciate your input always, Earl, and
All right,
keeping
no
your foot
problem.
on the
Thank
ground.
you.
All right, cool. Yeah, guys, you're watching Ride Along Live. Let's open up the phone lines for more calls coming in. If you want to call, the number that you call us, try to reach us at is this right here, 718-701-5720. Again, let me clarify this, guys. I am not in no way advocating for mandatory vaccination. I don't like it. I don't think that you could mandate uh, and tell someone that they have to put this in their body. They might be not wanting to take the vaccine for many different reasons. They're probably not just anti-vaxxers, they're just for health reasons. And for many different reasons, they just don't want to take the vaccine, right? You can't mandate that they take it. But here's what I'm saying, guys. I think that we all need to look at this very, very seriously, right? And do your research, do your investigation. And I personally have gotten sufficient information from the people that I trust medically to decide that yes, this is something that I will take, and I made the decision personally, and I did it. All my family did it. Even my mother, who is uh, over 70, she took it, right? And we made that decision, right? I think that the side effect of COVID vastly outweigh the side effect from the vaccination. The ultimate side effect is death from COVID, and again, it's a personal decision, right? And life is about kicking the can down the road. It's how long you can kick the can down the road. Eventually, so we are gonna die from something, right? It's just how long we could kick the can down the road for. And I'm confident within the decision that I made the right decision. But that is a decision, an individual decision that everyone have to make. Mr. Clouden, while we wait for a
Yes,
call,
sir.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
yes,
And I'm always so pleased to share some of my views. They're not always views that are generally acceptable, but at least my views, and I respectfully um, cherish the opportunity afforded me from time to time to as it were, expose them to the
okay.
public.
Can you just hang on just for
Thank
one
you
last
very
call?
much.
Hold on, don't go ahead. If you could just hang for us one last call before you leave. I'm sure this
Oh
this
yes,
might.
I most certainly can. Sure.
Yeah, okay. Call go right ahead. Call are you live?
Yes, yes. How are you doing?
I'm good. Go right ahead.
Yes, I'm calling from Canada as well, and I listen to everything that they're saying. And we're dealing with here in Toronto and England and the United States. The cases is really high compared to being in Grenada. And one of the things I've been saying for the longest while is education. The government need to educate the people more on the vaccine, on why they should take it. Because if you look at where we are now as Grenadian and being in Grenada, how many cases do they have? It's not giving them the incentive to take a vaccine. It's not to do with education. You know, I'm in the health field, so I was in a position where I had to sort of take it for my safety, not because I have to, because it wasn't a mandatory, but I'm looking for me. That was for my personal self, you know, because I believe in the vaccine, because I study it and I listen and I take the advice based on what I receive. However, that's what they need to do in Grenada. They need to give the people more education on the vaccine.
Yeah.
And because people listen from third parties.
Yes.
They're not listening coming straight from the government.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and Minister Steele, and I have my say about him, but we're going to leave it right where it is, because, you know, he's not a doctor. But the people should be listening to the doctor and not him. He should let the doctor speak and let the people be comfortable with the doctor, and not somebody who's regular who don't have a doctorate next to their name.
Right.
But that's the next story. So I'm just saying that is what's really lacking in Grenada, lack of information for the people. Let them make their own choice.
Right.
You cannot make it mandatory. Let the people make their own choice, but give them the information to do that.
Yeah.
Because we in Grenada, I grew up in Grenada. Yes, I live here now, but I grew up in Grenada. People still have like a radio. They don't have the internet. They don't have the computers. They don't have those stuff. So you use the tools that they have to reach out to them and spread the message and let the message spread to them why they should be vaccinated and give them information about the vaccine that they have. And that may help instead of one trying to mandatory it and trying to give incentive of whatever they want to give, maybe to have carnival. If you take it, you're going to have carnival and all this foolishness.
Right.
People's life is not about carnival. People's life is about their life, you know?
Right.
We don't have much cases in Grenada. So it's not an incentive for someone to take a vaccine compared to being in America or here in Canada.
Right,
understood. You know, so that is just my take on it in terms of the government part of it. They are failing on that part, and they need to really get it together. And the people just really need to not jump and take anything, but they need to learn about it. And sometimes they have to do it themselves. Yeah. But it's hard for everyone to go out there and do it because they don't have the tools to get it done. What they have is a little radio, and some people may not even have a television to listen. No. So they have to spread the message to village, spread the message of why they should be vaccinated because of so and so, and this is the vaccine, and this is what it is. This is what it will do. This is what and so forth and so forth. Because
Colin, no, we get it. No, we understand. We understand. I sorry to cut you, but
so I'm just wanting to say that and give my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, the caller is right. The caller is very right. Education should be paramount important at this point in time. Educate the population on the vaccine. One last thing I want to ask you, Mr. Clouden. We spoke about herd immunity, but how do you believe from your knowledge we get to herd immunity without the advent of a vaccine or any of this type of assistance?
Oh, you have to take the vaccine, naturally. I'm not against the vaccine. I'm just against the AstraZeneca. As I told you, I'm all for Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
That's my preference.
Okay.
But
you take the vaccine? Would you take the vaccine?
Take the vaccine eventually, and the viral load reduce significantly, and you wear your mask and you sanitize. Eventually, you won't have to wear a mask because everybody, the immune system in everyone, the viral load may be so low that any infection, no suffering, just as a common cold. You know, the influenza kill a lot of people too. You know. So.
Right. So you're saying here that you would take the vaccine, you're just against the AstraZeneca, but say Moderna or Pfizer.
I've lost confidence in the protestation of safety.
Okay. All right.
So I take Johnson & Johnson, one shot, and that's it.
Okay.
I took them when I was a little boy, before I could travel.
Yeah. Always a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Clouden.
Thanks for having me, sir.
No problem.
I do appreciate it. And God bless you, and just stay safe.
Thank you.
Understanding you have had it, you could contract it again.
Yeah.
As you well know.
I hope I don't.
Well, me too. I pray God. Well,
yeah.
I told you a little joke my brother gave. Take care now. All the best. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, that was Mr. Anslem Clouden. Always a good conversation. Always a good debate with Mr. Clouden. Guys, I don't like to play Russian roulette, right? That's something I like to be. And that's me. Everybody different. I understand everybody different, but me personally, specifically, I like to kind of have an idea as to what's going on, right? Now, when I look at what's happened and what's happening with COVID-19, and I am out there, like funerals. I told you guys my story already, and I'm seeing dead people. I'm seeing mothers, fathers losing their wives, losing their husbands because they didn't have, well, they were going out, or they contracted COVID and they died. And I remember this one lady, she stood over the coffin of her husband and she cried. And she said, if I could give, she said, I would give anything and everything that I own, everything that I have, if I could hear your breath one last time. Well, at that time, there was no vaccine, and, he died. But I'm sure if you rewind this story a little bit, right? If you rewind the story a little bit, and there was some added protection, or they know that the vaccine could have provided some added protection to a husband, knowing that he may have had some complication or some other conditions that would have been adversely affected by the COVID-19, she probably would have advised him to take the vaccine. And he probably would have been here today. Maybe. There's no surety. Now we have the vaccine. And I know that there are a lot of people who are very, very not willing to take the vaccine. And I'm not here to tell you to go ahead and take the vaccine either. What I'm telling you is to talk to your medical practitioner, talk to your doctor, and let your doctor advise you, as he did when you had a toothache, or when you had a headache, or when you were pregnant and you were giving birth, and they advised you on medication to take. The same doctor who advised you, speak to your medical practitioner and hear what your doctor says. I took the vaccine. I'm happy I did. I'm happy all my family took it. I'm breathing a sigh of relief, and I tell you, I'm breathing a sigh of relief every day, because I feel like I am somehow protected. But that's just me. And again, I want to reiterate that I'm not in support of mandatory vaccination. I'm not in support of mandatory vaccination, right? I believe everyone should make that decision. But as the caller said, we need to give our population the education that they need to make that decision, right? Yes. And there are a lot of people over in the US here, I think they're going on 200,000 people very soon, 160 something thousand people, 60 something million people who took the vaccine already. And there are side effects. I had minor side effects after I took the vaccine as well, right? But for me, it surely bit what the other option could have been, right? All right, you know what? I'm gonna take a call again. I'm gonna open up the phone lines to talk to you guys a little bit again. I have a little more time. I could stay on. 718-701-5720. 718-701-5720, because I just saw something that came to the wire again. As we're talking about, I know we're talking about vaccine and we're talking about mandatory mandating vaccine, but there are some other breaking news that's happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines right now as we speak. As we speak right now, guys, the news that just came to the wire, as I played back earlier, a evacuation alert is in effect right now. We just got this information coming from NAGMA. Let me play back the information right now, and it is serious for the people, the family and friends in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This information just came to our lines.
This is Dr. Ursula Joseph, Director of the UE Seismic Research Center. With respect to the implications for neighboring islands such as Barbados, Grenada, and St. Lucia of the impacts of an eruption at the La Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent, this is dependent on the size of the eruption, the amount of ash that may be emitted, but primarily the impact would be on aviation travel in the region, as ash negatively impacts the engines of aircrafts. In terms of the possibility of ashfall on these islands, this is not going to be significant, but is also dependent on wind direction and the size of the eruption.
Again, we got some breaking news coming in. Let me ingest a little bit, but before we do that, let's take a call. Caller, you live, right along.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Junior. Doug Howard.
Hey, Doug, how you doing, sir?
I am good, my brother.
Thank you for calling
I
in.
just thank you, thank you for having this program so we could get more enlightened on what happening here. They have the La Soufre volcano is actually erupting right now as we speak. So we are in it right now. It's been threatening since late last year,
Yes.
and the tremors becoming heavier and heavier as the dome keep building bigger and bigger in the crater. And this morning, I got the call. I got the pictures from one of my friends down in the north of the country.
Right.
He sent it up Leonard Lampkin. He's been doing a good job. He lives on the other side of the volcano, 2 mountains away. So he's seen it parallel.
Right.
And he been sending some real good photos out. And this morning he sent me a video.
Yes.
It's actually this morning, and I just get some news that they ordered the evacuation of the people in the red zone. So the evacuation is officially underway as of 5 or a little after 5 this afternoon.
Yes. 'Cause we just getting this here from news source. They knew News 784. They saying that what you say, the dome has now reached the height of the crater on the western leeward side of the island. Residents living in the leeward side of the island will be able to see the glowy, fiery look of the dome as it gets darker. So it is serious. Doug, give us a sense as how far does the evacuation would spread. And I'm also aware that there are people that's living in the close vicinity of that area there. How far would they have to go to evacuate these people?
Well, the zone where they clear out for the safe area as of now is from the second tongue. Chateaublé is the most northern tongue on the leeward side.
Right.
You have to go to the tongue which is Barley. From Barley on the leeward side to around Bayaboo area, which is about 12 or 13 miles north of Kingston on the windward side. They're both 12 or 13 miles north of the windward side. So that will be the quote unquote safe zone as of now. But you don't know what is going to happen. They have it cut out in red, which is the danger zone, yellow, orange, and green.
Yes.
So if you're in the yellow and the green, it's not too bad.
Right.
The danger is if you're right under the volcano, up in the red zone, and you have a lot of people up in that region. The region been, since 1979, the last eruption, which is kind of funny. I was there. When most people was running out of North Leeward in 1979. I was running there. I was right up. I wanted to actually go on the volcano to see some of the eruptions. I actually went up there when the eruption was taking place. Actually, the Saturday the 14th of April 1979.
Yes.
I'm lucky to get out of there alive with the ash.
Doug, how many people you believe would have to evacuate?
I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of a solid 22,000.
20,
I believe it's going to be about 22,000.
22,000 people?
Yes.
Well, we're watching a video right now about traffic congestion right now. That's what it's looking like. People are evacuating. They're actually listening and moving away. That's congestion in Mont Young.
Mont Young is on the Mont Young is on the windward side of the island. That's on the Atlantic side, coming from the Caribbean country, Oria, Fancy, Georgetown, Byra, Canary, in that area.
Right.
Coming. They're going to be heading south below the Bayaboo region. Bayaboo, like I tell you, is the mark from Baraboo south
Right.
into Kialiokwa in those are that's going to be basically the safe zone. You know,
Yeah.
but up there they're going to have a lot of traffic problems, and this is not the best time of day for this to happen because this is actually when it's going to get dark.
Yes.
So this is not a good time, and you don't want to lose none of the electrical power and so on and so forth now because it will make it even worse. Now, the last time it erupted, Junior, in 1979, it erupted actually in the morning about 5:30.
Right.
So we had all day long. We had the entire day to clear the area, which was done. Nobody get damaged, nobody get injured. You didn't have no casualty or nothing from no accident or nothing like that. But in the night now, this is going to be a little challenge for those people there. It will be a challenge.
Again, guys, we're following the reports of evacuation. The evacuation order given in the condition of the La Sofia volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It has been deteriorating over the past couple of weeks and months. St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves had issued an evacuation order effective immediately as alert levels has been elevated to red. And Doug, you know, the evacuation order went out effective immediately as of about just before the time I came on the program, right? What does that mean? Is it that and these people trying to get out there, and we already see the dome already met to the top of the crater of the volcano. Do they have enough time?
The dome been built to the top of the crater for the longest, Junior. The dome take over almost 3.5 months to build. That's why the eruption is becoming more and more heavy because the dome is being built, and the pressure to push that whole dome up for the lava to come up is what was causing all the earthquakes and all those things. The earth tremors, actually.
Yes.
Volcanic tremors. And that's been getting heavier and heavier over the last 4 or 5 days. It's been getting real heavy, the volcanic tremors. And so everybody knows that this thing was going to blow. It's no secret it was going to blow this time. And soon. And the last time it blew, it was on the 13th of April. Today's what date? Today's the 8th?
Yes.
Yeah, so I looking for it to get, as the pressure bill, I looking for it to get a little worse. So
wow.
I hoping that the people in them get out of the actual area as fast as they can, Junior. Because and night falling, it is dark there already. It's about 7:30, 7:24 there, so it's dark. It's actually dark.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We're watching footage that was posted earlier. Again, as reported, that traffic congestion, a lot of people trying to get out of that area of Mount Young, and that's what it looks like presently. It's starting to get dark in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Mount Young is actually Mount Young is actually below the dry river. The dry river is what separates the Caribbean country region from Georgetown proper. The dry river, the Raboka dry river.
Yeah.
So Mount Young is on your way below Georgetown, coming down in that region there. So that means a lot of people don't leave the north.
Yeah.
The north, that's on the Atlantic side. June
Noel is asking why they waited so long to give the order to leave.
But they had I asked the same question too, because you see, Junior, this morning, before you had the eruption, but you didn't have the actual plume of all the ash and all the steam and all that stuff going high up in the air as it happened this morning.
Right.
This morning was actually the first major eruption. And when I say major, I mean explosive eruption.
Yes.
All the eruption was basically what they call intrusive eruption. It was erupting in the crater. This is one of the first one that actually goes big out to the crater.
Yes.
So that when the press conference was called this afternoon at 2 p.m. and they raised the levels, but they didn't order the evacuation. I think they should have started from this morning. I think they should have started to evacuate at least the elderly and the children.
Yes.
You know, I think they should have do that this morning when they had that heavy eruption that I get from my good friend Leonard Slamkin send the video. His is one of the videos that is circulating heavy with that plume going up in the air.
Yeah, we're watching that on screen right now. We're watching that on screen right now.
That is Leonard Slamkin. He sent a video like that to me earlier this morning. And from so they had over a good 8 or 10 hours to make that call before the call was made. That call should have been made before. And at least for the elderly and the people with disability and the children. At least those people should have been moved, in my opinion. But I'm not there. I'm in New York, you know, and I just had to do my best to see what I could do to help them out down there now.
Well, we're going to be
paying. They're going to need a lot of problems.
Go ahead.
Junior, got COVID down there. You got COVID. A lot of these people is going into schools and community centers, churches. So the community, the people is now going to be huddled together more tighter. They will be in their own houses and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a tough thing with COVID as we face it, and the eruption. So.
Whoopi Goldberg and Meghan McCain had an awkward moment, another awkward moment on The View. This time, the debate had to do with Georgia.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, St. Vincent is getting a double whammy right now because the COVID is there still, and now you have all these people. Some of them may be strangers who going into one community, who using the community center and the schools and them, you know, and. I don't know if they're ready to deal with all of that at once, but we have to deal with it because it's the cards that is on the table right now.
Well,
you know,
are you hearing about cruise ships that are ready to take people on board?
They're talking about you know, Barbados is a home port for some cruise ships, and they're sitting there. So they was talking about 2 cruise ships coming from Barbados to help out in the housing of the people, which will be good because the cruise ship will do it in an orderly manner and stuff like that, and they got the facilities to handle the people. So that might be really good. You could put a family by themselves, but in a community center and a school, you know how them school is doing. It's one big thing with separate, but with class with a blackboard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the emphasize, Doug.
It's not the best.
Doug, thank you so much. We appreciate your information here on what's happening.
Thank you for your platform. Thank you for your platform to help air some of our concerns in the island, and let's pray and hope that everything go good, Junior. Thank you for the time, and thank you for airing our thing in St. Vincent. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you so much. Guys, this is happening right now, and tensions starting to rise because it started to get dark, right? Started to get dark as the Prime Minister of St. Vincent just ordered an evacuation of this area. And I was showing video clips earlier where people are evacuating, but there's a big traffic buildup as they try to get away from that specific area. If you are in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and you have any footage, feel free to share it with us. I'm getting a lot of clips that's coming through the wire. So let me see if I could ingest that and play it back as well. It's a lot of information. We're praying for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, guys. Call and check up on your friends. Call and check up on people in the immediate area. Make sure that they evacuate and make sure they should have been evacuating from since earlier today. But if they still, some people like to sit around and watch and see what's happening. Now is not the time to go viral with your video of a volcano erupting. All right. The evacuation order given as condition at the La Sofia volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines deteriorate further. St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has issued an evacuation order effective immediately as the alert levels has been elevated to red. We're going to keep monitoring, guys. We're going to keep monitoring everything that's posted. Okay, so some of the video can't coming in. Let me see if I could just play that out for you guys real quick. Wow. So this was a clip that we played earlier, the evacuation, traffic congestion at Mount Young, as the people are just trying to get away, and everyone would question why it took so long, because since morning, we see the plumes of dust in the air for a good while now, and just as the Prime Minister announced the evacuation, people have been making their way out of that particular area there, and it's causing traffic congestion, as you can see on the screen right now. Alright, guys, we're gonna cut it off right here and keep monitoring and keep posting on Ride Along Live. Again, we thank you for watching. Thanks for sharing your time with us. We'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Good night.
Come on, this is your opportunity to tap into the $7.3 trillion industry in this COVID time. Get interactive, hands-on in the Forex and crypto market. Educate yourself in this financial industry. All of this is possible right now with a multi-source income generator. This program will allow you to learn while you earn in this lucrative decentralized industry. Take advantage of this trading academy, personal development, create multi-source stream income, trading ideas in this global market, get discount travel with your own portal, bonus token backed by bitcoins, and so much more. For more information, contact Kristen Alexis at 347-834-2852 or Marisha Dash at 646-529-6570. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity of a lifetime. Call now.
Feeling hungry, grab a snack. Caribbean food delight. Jamaican patties, slide and flaky. Caribbean food delight. Taste the difference. Caribbean food delight. Grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight. Quick and easy, grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight.
Oh yeah. Let's face it, this is not normal times, but life, it must go on. And with all these continued restrictions on get-togethers, you need a streaming company like Ridealong Media Group LLC, one that can stream to all your family members to the comfort of their own homes, both privately or publicly, you decide. One who understands your privacy, one who simply cares. So for that wedding, funeral, public or private event, choose the professional production company with the experience and quality guaranteed. Family can travel? Inquire about our seamless remote participant option. Thinking of streaming your virtual event? We handle it all. From multi-camera video production to streaming, post-production, editing, and more via Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, or any platform required. Call us and speak to our experienced professional team. 212-809-4324. That's 212-809-4324. Ridealong Media Group LLC. We're here when you need us.
Are you fed up of your mask or your foggy face shield? Introducing the Fashion Shield from callallpronow.com. Keep your hairdo intact, your makeup flawless, and be fully protected. Get the Fashion Shield now. Call 516-387-4246 or visit callallpronow.com.
Come on, this is your opportunity to tap into the $7.3 trillion industry in this COVID time. Get interactive, hands-on in the Forex and crypto market. Educate yourself in this financial industry. All of this is possible right now with a multi-source income generator. This program will allow you to learn while you earn in this lucrative decentralized industry. Take advantage of this trading academy, personal development, create multi-source stream income, trading ideas in this global market, get discount travel with your own portal, bonus token backed by bitcoins, and so much more. For more information, contact Kristen Alexis at 347-834-2852 or Marisha Dash at 646-529-6570. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity of a lifetime. Call now.
You